Hello, welcome to Crafting in the Night. In today's video, I'm going to show you 25 of my works in progress. 24 of them happen to be blankets. That's what I tend to specialize in. If this is something that you're interested in, please subscribe, hit that like button, and click the bell if you want to get notified every time I post new videos. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's get started with the 3 works in progress that are closest to completion. The first one is the Briar Rose blanket by Hooked on Sunshine, and okay, this is the front. This beautiful blanket was so cool to work up just with the different stitch patterns, and I love the colors that I used in this. And there are some spots where it has a little bit of texture too, but just the delicate little shells. And everything about this pattern was wonderful. Now, this is a paid pattern, again, by Hooked on Sunshine. And I also got the video tutorials, which are a little bit more, and it did help in some spaces, but overall, this was a really easy pattern. And if you've ever seen her patterns, I would definitely recommend this one to help you get started. And all I have left on this blanket is just to weave in the ends. So it's completely done. I actually didn't go with the border that she recommended just because I was running out of yarn. So I put a very simple border on it. And once I weave in the ends on this project, it'll be done. So that's my first work in progress. Speaking of borders, my second work in progress is my own pattern. And this one, all of the ends are weaved in. All it needs is just a small border. So if you watched podcast episode 20, I showed this blanket as well as the Hooked on Sunshine blanket. And I've weaved in all of my ends here. And I just want to put a border because I don't like the way that this middle section, I worked this blanket up as a square. And then I added these corner to corner panels on each side to just add some visual interest to the overall pattern. But I don't like the way that this middle, it looks weak to me. So I want to put a border to just give that edge some strength. So I think what I'm going to do for this is just use this ivory. This ivory is like an off-white or antique white, Pound of Love, and I have plenty of it left. So I'll use that as my border color, and then this one will be done and ready for donation. You know, one thing I want to mention is typically for donation, I use like a 36 by 36 size, and I think this one's actually 40 inch, but my Project Linus chapter, they donate to kids, and primarily they do babies, and so they want a 36 by 36 blanket or around about that size, but they do also donate to older children as well. So blankets that are big like this can go for a teen or an older child that needs it. Okay, let's look at the third work in progress, and this is my own pattern. This is, I haven't decided on a name for this blanket. I don't know, maybe something like Flower Power, but I bet that's overused. So we'll figure something out. If you have a suggestion for a name for this blanket, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So this blanket is green and gold, and I really wanted to design a 3D flower for it when I had this idea. So I designed petals that kind of curve inward and really pop out. It looks great. And you can, it's kind of fun. You can kind of pop them to the other side too. So funny enough, as I was making this, I was playing with popping them back or forward. And I think that could make it a really cool kind of sensory or calming blanket for whatever child gets it. So there I've popped them all backwards on that flower. And then 2 different stitches. I used half double crochets for the white stripes, and I think a griddle stitch or grit stitch for the color stripes. I'll have all that information when I publish the pattern. And don't worry, the patterns for all of these blankets will be linked in the description. Now, some of them, like this flower blanket, are my pattern, and I don't quite have it done yet. So as soon as I have the written pattern done, I'll link that first. And then once the video tutorial's filmed, I'll replace the written pattern with the video tutorial, just assuming if you're on YouTube that you would prefer a video tutorial. But yeah, this is my flower blanket, and all of the ends are weaved in on this one also, and I'm just working on a border, so I'm still attached and have a little bit of a yarn barf situation here that I need to sort out with these, which is always fun, right? Don't you love when that happens? I think one of the things that a lot of crafters have to organize their projects or their items is these cube organizers. I absolutely love them. And I have these little labels that have been a game changer for me. They're super cheap, they're on Amazon, and they use a chalk pen. And so you can erase them as soon as this project's done. I can just erase it with a baby wipe or a wet rag and then write the next project on it. That's really cool. I love these and I definitely highly recommend it. So I'll leave an affiliate link in the description to where you can get these on Amazon. Okay, let's go for the next blanket. This is my pattern. It's a double triple ripple pattern. And that video tutorial is already on YouTube as far as for the actual stitch tutorial. Now, when this blanket's done, I'll post a link to the actual blanket pattern for this as well, which will include the repeat for the stripe. But this is really nice. Love the way that this is working up and love the texture on that double triple ripple stitch. Now, the only thing here, what this blanket is waiting for is a border, or I've got to figure out the edges basically. The one thing about this double triple ripple stitch is that when you work it up, you really have to do a gauge swatch because the ripple is so deep. If you don't make your starting chain long enough, your blanket isn't going to be the width that you need it. And this really isn't wide enough for Project Linus, so I'm going to have to add some to each side to get that sorted out. I should know better. I wrote the pattern, but we'll get that figured out and then get this blanket completed. So this one is almost done. That's the double triple ripple. I follow a lot of different YouTubers, and this one is the Brianna K. She did this granny square pattern that I absolutely love, where you're just using granny stitch, but every couple of rows you're alternating between a color and between two colors. And I actually am using a Karen cinnamon swirl cake for this, for the color. So these little triangles, I'm not sure what you would call them, are working up really nice. And I love that the way that this Karen cinnamon swirl cake is contrasting on the Karen 1 pound in peach. So I actually don't have the cinnamon swirl cake in here, but yeah, this is working up really nicely. That one I haven't done quite as much work on just because it's a little bit of work to be alternating, and I was kind of loathing the ends, but I do want to get back onto it. I absolutely love the design. I'm not sure if this one will be good for Project Linus though, just because of the way the strips are carried in the back. I don't know if you can see that, but the way the yarn is carried in the back, I'd be worried that a baby would get caught on that. But then again, if it was for an older child, I think it would be fine. So we'll see what we do with that. Love the colors. The next one is another hooked on sunshine pattern. This is a blanket called 4, just 4. And this is using a mandala, Lion Brand mandala in chai. I don't know how you say that. Mandala ombre. And Lion Brand 1 pound, or pound of love, sorry, for the white. And that's working up nicely. Again, this is a hooked on sunshine pattern, so it's a little bit more involved than the Briar Rose one that you saw earlier. And so I just need to get back to it. I haven't worked on this one in a long time. So I got a little baby bit done. And right now it's just a sleeping whip. As you can see, I grabbed some more, and I just thought I'd bring more out here so I don't have to keep running back and forth into the other room. This isn't all of them yet, but we'll get through a few of these. This is a sprinkle stitch, and actually what I'm doing with this yarn is I have the same 3 colors of yarn. So this is Wildflower or Monet. One or the other. It's either Wildflower or Monet by Red Heart Super Saver, and then maybe Scuba or Aruba Sea for the blue, and then a yellow. And I'm trying to work 3 different stitch patterns in the same 3 colors so that you can get an idea of how using 3 colors together, even though they're the same colors with different blankets, how that you know, how that looks across different styles of blanket with the same 3 colors, if that makes sense. So this one is a video tutorial on my YouTube channel, so I'll be sure to link the stitch in the description, and then I'm just working it up in 3 colors, but it's the same stitch. Okay, Sunshine and Rainbows is a project that I actually started, gosh, so long ago, and this uses a sunshine block that I designed and I still need to write the pattern up for, and then regular granny square blocks, and this I was smart enough to put a little keeper here to say what size it is. So I just kind of alternate these sunshine and rainbow blocks, and then I'll have the white blocks as well. And where I kind of got stuck on this one, here's a block with just the sunshine, and you can see the little bobbles or puff stitches I did here. And where I kind of got stuck on this one is I really want to make a big sun for the middle, and then have just these little squares around the outside. So I think what I want to do is have a big sun square in the middle, and I still need to design it. So that's why I've kind of got stalled out on this one, because I'm not quite sure what I want to do there. But I love this color of Lion Brand yarn. This is the Lion Brand Ice Cream in Parfait. Beautiful colorway. And the Sunshines, because I also used a Lion Brand Ice Cream yarn in yellow, but it's like a variegated yellow. It goes between shades. So some of the suns are bright yellow and some are light yellow. And then if they're too white, I'll just take out the section of white in the yarn. And but yeah, so I thought that was really cool too, how we could play with the different gradients of yarn. And I haven't touched this one in over a year. I do need to pick it up. I do have the pattern written out for the suns, the smaller suns. I just need to create a pattern for the larger sun. Either that, or I guess I could just keep alternating big suns and little, the little suns and the rainbow squares and just get it done. So that might be an option too, we'll see. This one is a fleece border blanket, and I had started working on this before Christmas and then didn't get it finished in time for Christmas. Project Linus, I donate these to Project Linus. And so I just need to get this one finished up, and then it'll be ready to go. I think what I wanted to do here was add gold to it. But this one's almost done. Just gonna add a couple more rounds maybe. And let's turn this right side up for you guys. And so I'll definitely want to get this back on the hook before Christmas. But again, this will be donated for Project Linus. So it's kind of, I mean, I still classify it as a whip, but these fleece blankets go a lot faster. Now I do have a tutorial on YouTube for how to make these fleece edge blankets. So if that's something you'd like to do, I'll leave the link for that in the description. This is another blanket that I'm designing, and I'm calling this the Princess Block. And I'm trying to do it kind of in the colors of the Disney princesses. And it's just going to alternate, various pastel shades. So it'll be the same block, and they'll all be connected with white, and just alternating different shades. So I just need to continue to work on these blocks. I want to block them because they do curl just a little bit with the way that I designed the block. And I have to decide if I want to tweak the block pattern at this stage or not, or just leave it. But yeah, so we'll see how they block out. And then depending on how they block out, I may have to alter the stitch count. But that's my princess blanket, and the name may change when the blanket's finally done, but we'll see. This one is just an Alpine stitch blanket using, I think, a Karen Cinnamon Swirl Cake. I love these colors. I mean, I just look at it and it makes me happy, this colorway. What is it? Let's see. This is, oh, it's a Karen Baby Cake in retro. Love these colors so much. So that's an Alpine stitch blanket. And then here we have, I had picked these pink, blue, and purple yarns to use with a crochet along a monthly challenge that Jayda and Stitches was running, and I think I only got a couple of blocks done. So I still want to do this, but I just haven't had time to go through her videos and work on these squares. So I still kind of have this and I haven't decided, am I going to keep going with it, or should I just call it done, donate the squares to Project Linus and be done with it. But we'll see if I get back around to it. My gosh, this Hexagon cardigan has been stalking me for like 3 years. I do need to finally get it finished this winter. It's almost done. I just need to lengthen the body, I believe, and lengthen the sleeves. Let's try it on here. I mean, it's not that bad, right? But the sleeves are a little short. And I mean, it could be a cute little summer crop thing, but yeah, we'll get that finished. It'll be a nice little house coat or house cardigan for winter once it gets done. And it shouldn't take too long to finish up because it's a granny stitch. So it's mostly black with just these pops of colors, which is, I had a leftover like neon stripe or something that I used for that. Next one I just threw in this basket is just a square design I've been working on. So I was working on it with Christmas colors, but I think I want to play with additional colors. So this is just me tinkering around, playing with, trying to design something. And we'll see if that actually goes anywhere. So I don't know, would you count that as a whip? I have the pattern for that square partially written, but haven't finished it. And then I have shown these before on the podcast, these hexagons that I designed. What are they? Yeah, they're hexagons. And I decided that what I want to do is for summer, work these up in more citrus colors. So I'm going to be working them up in this orange color, which is more like an orange, and then this pink, which will be like grapefruit. And so then I'll kind of arrange these into a blanket. And again, this is my own pattern. See, I've got a bunch of these middles done. See, middles, there's all kinds of middles in there, but haven't gotten any further on it. So I do think once I finish my current whips, this will be next up, because I would love to have this done by the end of summer, but we'll see if that actually happens. Now, I really don't know when I'll have time to weave in the ends on this next one, but it kind of is a little bit more timely, and you'll see why. This is a corner to corner for Halloween. And it's just this kind of cute jack-o'-lantern. And it's supposed to be like a sugar skull jack-o'-lantern. So down at the bottom, we have kind of some motifs as well. I have the graphs ready to go for this, and obviously the blanket's all done except the ends aren't weaved in. So hopefully I'll be able to get to that soon as well. I mean, technically I should leave it out because it's so close to being done, and then I can just throw up the pattern. I wouldn't do a video tutorial for this because it would be too complex, but it's just another one in this big pile of whips. Okay, so let's look at a few of the other smaller ones that I have, and then I'll dive into, you can kind of see it right here, the whips that I keep by the side of my couch for pulling out when I'm not, when I can't decide what to work on. I keep a few there just so that I can grab them very quickly if I'm watching TV or something. On the smaller side, I have a couple of projects, and this is a pattern I got off of Etsy, and they're just a variety of different dots. I'll link it. I think it's called Princess Polka Dots, and I'm using again a mandala cake for the centers. So I'm trying to keep, you can see I have them chained together with stitch markers. I couldn't think of the word. Just to kind of keep the gradient going, but I need to get these joined, and I still have quite a bit more dots that I need to make, and this one's just a little bit tedious, so I haven't gotten back to it in a while, but it's a good travel project because it just fits. I love these little bags. I got them off of Amazon, but it just fits in one of these little bags nicely, and it helps that it's a 3-weight yarn that I'm using, so that's another whip. Oh, and then we have the Queen of Hearts blanket, which I did showcase in a previous podcast, and I just haven't gotten back to it. So this, again, is a heart blanket, heart block that I designed. And the pattern for this is already, the tutorial's already posted on YouTube, so I'll link it in the description. I designed this heart block for book cover inspiration, a different one from Crochet with Nana Rosanna. Actually, it was 2 different podcasters had the same colors for their monthly challenge. It was Crochet with Nana Rosanna had her book cover inspiration that used the red, white, and black, and then also Judy's Creations in Crochet has a butterfly challenge every month that she does, and that butterfly was red, black, and white. So this one I did because I was able to kind of get in on both challenges, and that's my Queen of Hearts blanket is what I'm calling it. And then we have this blanket here, which is a flower. And these are going to be tiny little hexagons. And again, I've taken a mandala cake, and you can kind of see it in there. And I've parsed out or caked up all the different colors so that I can just reach into the bag and grab an individual color. That way, I will have either a solid or a two-toned, but the colors will be assembled at random. And again, this one's kind of tedious, so I've just been working on it as I go. I absolutely love the flower, and I don't even remember where I got the pattern, so I would have to figure that out too if I were to keep working on it. This isn't my pattern. Hopefully I have a podcast episode somewhere where I mentioned it and actually linked it. Another project I've been working on is just a simple granny square, but I'm using Lion Brand Heartland yarns, and I have so many of these squares made up in various colors. And what it's going to be different colored squares with gray squares in between, and then I'm going to join as you go with the gray. This, I'm calling it like a modern granny. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. So technically, I don't know how you would phrase that. It's not my design because I didn't invent the granny square, but it's my combination of colors, I guess you would say. So I'll combine these in a nice little pattern, and I've designed it for a big blanket, but then you can take off any section and make whatever size blanket you want and just have kind of a really nice color layout, a color palette layout for it. So that's another work in progress, and it's so close. I just got to weave in ends and then join all these squares together, and I'll be done with that one. All right, let's do the last couple of projects here. Now, I do have one corner to corner that I won't be able to show you guys today just because it's buried under a bunch of yarn that I got. And it's a Graphgan, and so it's got a bunch of different bobbins, and I don't want to pull it out and bring it out. It's a cat Graphgan, so it's my pattern, and I'll be coming out with that just as soon as I get back to it, but it's kind of hard to pull out and put away, so right now it's a sleeping whip for sure. This next project is a granny square, and I'm working this up as a log cabin granny, but continuous. So obviously I'm not changing colors, but I wanted to play with not getting that line that you sometimes get when you work a granny square, you know, going around and around. I do turn my granny squares. When I'm making a big granny square like this, I do turn it every round. And I don't like how when you do that, it puts a seam. And I thought this would eliminate the seam, but I can still see the seam. Here it is on this side. Do you see it on that corner? And so I'm going to finish this blanket up, but I still need to tweak the pattern. I'm not liking how it's turning out. What I wanted to do was figure out a way to get rid of that seam, and I thought doing a log cabin effect would do that, and I still think that might work, but I need to tweak it just a little bit more. So we'll see how that turns out. Another one is a blanket I was designing for July 4th. And this is my first time designing a mandala or star type blanket. I think eventually it will be a square or a rectangle, but this is what I have so far, and I do have everything written out for the pattern for it so far, but no, I'm not going to have it done by July 4th, so it's kind of just sitting on the back burner. Creating patterns for me is kind of really mentally taxing because if it's not a small project like a block, I can, you know, iterate fast on a small block to figure something out, but on this larger blanket, it's kind of like, you really have to go through a mental exercise, so you have to be in the headspace to do it, and I just haven't been in the headspace to finish that one up. Here's another one. I've only got one square done. I really wanted to try with single crochet Graphgan. So I designed a variety of these different little cars, and I want to make a transportation themed blanket. So this is one of the little cars, and I have the other ones charted out. I use Stitch Fiddle to chart those out, but I haven't made them yet. Again, this is just, it's so tedious to do the Graphgans and then to weave in your ends, and you just have to be kind of in the right mood or frame of mind for this. Now, I will say that this is not too bad to work on because you're working it in little squares, but it's just the tedious nature of the Graphgan that kind of has me stalling out on that project. And last but not least is this black and white abstract granny I've been working on. This is a join as you go project, but if you'll notice, the edges are kind of not joined with a solid center. So as you join them, you're joining a raw edge to a raw edge. And when I'm making it, when I started making it, it made a lot of sense, but then I put it down for a while, so I'm having trouble. You can see here I've started working on this side again, but I'm having trouble remembering how I did the join. And unfortunately, I didn't write it down. I should have written it down. I didn't write it down, and so now I'm having trouble joining this back up. But this, I think, is going to be a pretty project, but I'll be honest, probably not going to be a tutorial. In fact, I should just finish off this one side, and then I was going to do a whole nother row of 4, but I may just go around with black and white, make it a rectangle blanket, and call it done, just because I don't think it's going to be a good pattern to put out there. I think it's going to be a little bit too complicated, because as I put it down and then pick it back up without having the written instructions, it's complicated for me. Now, that may change if I figure it out again and then actually write down the instructions this time, and then figure out that it can be done, and maybe as an intermediate or advanced pattern, then I'll think about publishing it. But for now, this is a work in progress. And again, I keep this set kind of to the side of my workstation so that I can just pick it up as I kind of have the capacity to work on it. And I thought that was my last one, but I do have one more. One second. So this last one is, I don't know if you've been a longtime viewer of the channel, you may have realized that I started a series I thought I was going to be able to keep up with called Stitch Quest. And I will get back to it maybe at some point, but haven't yet. But this was going to be one of the patterns for that. And this is a pink and white square and then navy squares. And I did design the pattern for these squares, but there's nothing too simple, you know, nothing too special about them. They're pretty simple. And then it was going to be like, you know, a grid kind of like this, and you would just have them going, alternating between the pink and white and the navy. So I have a few more of these squares that I need to get done and then get them all joined, and that'll be a blanket. So I would say, if I had to guess, this one is 50% done. That is it. Those are all of my works in progress, save the one that I wasn't able to show you. And it's quite a lot, though I'll be honest, when I went digging through my whip bins, it wasn't as many as I thought it would be. I have a lot that are holding yarn and have a pattern idea written down for them, but they're not started yet, so they're not technically whips, and I didn't realize I had done that. So that's kind of cool for me. It doesn't seem as daunting, and yeah, let me know which one is your favorite. Which one do you think I should finish first? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep calm and crochet on.